Hello everyone and welcome back to DreamingAI. My name is Newt and today we are going to learn how to use the ComfyUI APIs. First off, I want to mention that to follow this tutorial, you'll need some programming basics, as we'll be using both ComfyUI and Python for interfacing. So let's start with an example that's already been set up, provided by the author of ComfyUI. Actually, he provides two examples, but I've chosen the one that, in my opinion, is more complete. You can find this example in the script examples folder. And here it is. Let's copy it somewhere else so that we can work on the code comfortably and create our tiny application. So firstly, if you don't have Python installed, you can easily install it by downloading the installer from the website. If you're using Linux, you might even have it pre-installed. Additionally, if you're using the portable version of ComfyUI like mine, you can also use the Python that comes within this environment since it's a full-fledged installation. The only difference is that the libraries are not installed somewhere on your computer, but within the virtual environment. In this case, the only dependency package you need should be the WebSocket, which can be installed with the following line of code for the portable environment, or with another line if you're in a normal Python environment. For this example, I'll use the portable one. Let's open the script to see how the API interfacing works and how to avoid making some mistakes. Firstly, we can see that the workflow code is already included. However, we want to load the workflows directly from the JSON files. So we'll immediately delete this part of the code and replace it with another part that will directly load the files. Subsequently, since the workflows are in JSON format, this library is used to correctly interpret their content by Python. Now, point number one, you should not and cannot use regular workflows. In fact, to create a workflow compatible with the APIs, you need to save it from ComfyUI in API format. To do this, just click on this button instead of the normal save. If you don't have it, just go to Settings and enable Dev Mode options, and then proceed with saving. The workflow we're going to use contains two case samplers in which I've shared both the prompt and the seed. I did this solely for the purpose of this example since it wouldn't normally make much sense. Great. Now let's save it in API format and open it again in ComfyUI. Initially, you'll notice that the seed node has been automatically detached and placed directly into the main blocks, while the prompt connections remain intact. This aspect is crucial to understand. The ComfyUI API format doesn't support the conversion of a regular field into an input field. When you save the workflow in API format, the field reverts to its original state, potentially disrupting any connections previously established through it. However, this isn't a significant issue for us. Since we're working with programming language, we can directly use real variables to replicate the original behavior of our workflow. Another thing you need to pay attention to is the titles of the nodes. If you have two or more nodes where you know you need to vary some parameters during programming, I strongly suggest changing the titles so that they are recognizable later on. If this aspect is not clear to you, don't worry because we'll see it in just a moment. In my case, I changed the title of the text clip in code so that I can understand later which one is positive and which one is negative. Okay, let's save our workflow again in API format and open it. Okay, now for convenience, I'll open it here on the side so that you can see both the script and the workflow. Let's move on to modifying the fields of a workflow directly from code. As you can easily see, the nodes are divided by a numerical index. This is why we can refer to them by that number. The next value is the input subgroup, which you'll practically enter every time. And then the third value represents the name of the field we want to modify, which you can find within the input group. That's it. The only laborious thing is to find out which index corresponds to the node you want to modify the input values for. This is why I mentioned earlier to change the title of these nodes, because if you have two with the same title, it would be unnecessarily difficult to figure out what's what. Now, following these precautions, we can proceed to modify the prompts and the seed by sharing the seed for both K-samplers. Great. Now the image saving function has already been done by the author of this example, so we won't recreate it. By looking at how it works in detail, we can understand that it uses GET requests to the prompt endpoint to understand when the workflow has finished its execution, and then starts requesting the output of the jobs reported in history from view. However, to see the result of our workflow, we need to uncomment this part of the code as written in the example. Well, let's try running this workflow. As I mentioned, I'll be using the portable environment to run it, so I'll use the full path of the python.exe contained in python_embedded as the interpreter. Excellent. Now that we know the basics, let's move on to something that's not explained. Let's say we want to do an image-to-image or a video-to-video. Nowhere is it explained how to upload images or videos and use them within the APIs. Actually, nodes like load image work by using the file name inside the input folder or in a subfolder within it. So we just need to find a way to upload and receive the name ComfyUI gives to that file to then use it as a value for the field. I did some reverse engineering of ComfyUI, and in the end, I managed to create this function starting from the way the upload endpoint was built. With this function, we can upload any image, even in a subfolder, and avoid ComfyUI creating duplicates in case we're always using the same image by setting the overwrite to true. So let's do a test. For this explanation, it seemed perfect to use the example workflow posted on the ComfyUI repository. But save it in API format and set the title of the two clips first to make it easier to locate in the workflow code. For the example image, we'll use this one that I'll put here in the same folder as the script. I will now change some parameters of the workflow, like the model and the prompts, so that we can get a better result. Well, as you can see, the image has been copied correctly into the input folder, and the script has produced a correct output. Instead of displaying the output this way, you can also implement a function that saves the images to disk like this. And that's it. Personally, I find the possibility of reusing my workflows to create real projects wonderful. I already have some ideas in mind that I would like to implement as soon as I can. In the meantime, you can find the script I used in the description. Please consider liking and subscribing if you found this tutorial useful. Also, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you out as much as I can. And until next time, keep dreaming.